Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood, and today we're going to be learning about some of the oddest medical treatments from history. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. Back in the 19th century, if you were feeling a bit sluggish or had a nervous disposition, a doctor might have handed you a prescription for an electric bath. Imagine stepping into a tub of water charged with a steady current of electricity to recharge your internal batteries. What do you think? Would doctors have actually treated people with an electrified bath? Or is that just too wild and shocking to be true? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is miasma. That's M-I-A-S-M-A. In the context of medical history, a miasma was a highly unpleasant or unhealthy smell or vapor that people believed was the primary cause of epidemic diseases like cholera and the Black Death. For centuries before we understood the existence of germs and bacteria, the miasma theory suggested that if you smelled something rotten or foul, you were actually inhaling the disease itself. The word miasma is actually ancient Greek, meaning pollution, stain, or defilement. But it wasn't just any bad smell. It had a heavy connotation of being spiritually or physically unclean. Doctors would tell people to avoid swamps or crowded city streets, not because of the bacteria living there, but because the bad air was thought to be a poisonous cloud of decay. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about odd medical treatments. Number 1. During the Great Plague of London, doctors actually suggested storing farts in a jar as a way of protecting from deadly disease. The logic behind this kind of gross and unorthodox treatment is rooted in the miasma theory, along with the notion that people believed like cures like. They thought a strong, familiar smell could act as a shield against lethal bad air of the plague. If you felt the plague was approaching, you would quickly open your jar and take a deep breath of your own captured scent to overpower the miasma. While it sounds silly today, it was a desperate attempt by 17th century citizens to take control of their health. They didn't have microscopes that would allow them to see the Yersinia pestis bacteria being carried by fleas on rats. To them, a jar of self-made air seemed like a portable, cost-effective gas mask that just might save their lives during an outbreak. Number 2. Ancient Egyptian doctors often used moldy bread to treat infected wounds thousands of years before the discovery of penicillin. Egyptian medical papyri reveal that physicians would apply a bit of moldy bread to cuts and scrapes to prevent them from festering. While they didn't know the science behind it, they had observed through centuries of practice that certain types of mold stopped infections in their tracks. In 1928, Alexander Fleming officially discovered penicillin, which is derived from the penicillium mold, the same stuff that grows on old bread. The Egyptians were essentially using a crude version of the world's most famous antibiotic about 3,000 years before the rest of the world. It's a perfect example of how ancient folk wisdom often contains very real and effective scientific truth. Number 3. In the Victorian era, breathing problems could actually be treated using, quote, medicated cigarettes. It sounds completely backwards to our modern ears, but Victorian doctors frequently prescribed asthma cigarettes to patients struggling with congestion. These weren't usually filled with tobacco. Instead, they used herbs like stramonium or belladonna, which were known as bronchial dilators. The idea was that inhaling the smoke would deliver the medicine directly to the lungs to open up the airways. While these herbs do actually have some chemicals that relax the lung muscles, the act of inhaling burnt plant matter is obviously not great for someone with a respiratory condition, or really anyone for that matter. Patients might feel a temporary relief from the herbs, but the smoke irritation often caused long-term damage. Eventually, medical science realized that there were much safer ways to deliver those helpful chemicals without the harmful side effects that come from fire and smoke. Number 4. For hundreds of years, mummy powder made from ground up ancient mummies was a common ingredient in European pharmacies. Starting around the 12th century, European apothecaries sold a substance called mummia, which was literally the powdered remains of mummified humans. It was believed to be a panacea or a cure-all capable of treating everything from headaches and stomach aches to broken bones. The bizarre practice was so popular that a massive trade market developed for ancient Egyptian artifacts just to turn them into medicine. The idea behind this strange remedy actually all boils down to just a linguistic misunderstanding involving bitumen, a natural healing substance found in the Middle East. People thought mummies were preserved with this valuable bitumen, so they figured eating a mummy was the best way to get the medicine. Even famous figures like King Charles II of England were known to use mummy-based treatments, believing the life force of the ancient dead could heal the living. And our fifth and final fun fact for today: in the early 20th century, radioactive Radithor water was sold as an energy drink that promised to make you feel like perpetual sunshine. Before the dangers of radiation were fully understood, radium was actually seen as a miracle element that could provide liquid sunshine to the body. Products like Radithor were basically just distilled water infused with radium isotopes, and people drank them to cure fatigue and improve their complexions. It was marketed as a high-end health supplement for the wealthy looking to get a little bit more energetic. Unfortunately, the glow people felt wasn't health. It was the beginning of radiation poisoning. The most famous case involved a socialite named Eben Byers who drank several bottles a day until his health catastrophically declined. His story eventually led to much stricter regulations by the FDA, ensuring that we no longer put radioactive materials in our morning beverages. Now for some news you can use. While we don't use mummy powder or radioactive energy drinks anymore, we should still be mindful of any supplements, carefully read the labels, and be sure that anything you're ingesting is FDA approved. But my main advice today is to actually take a lesson from the miasma theory. While sickness doesn't really come from bad air, we all know science tells us it's from germs, bacteria, viruses, things like that. The old doctors weren't entirely off the mark. Fresh air can be vital for your health, so make sure you're circulating the air in your house. Try a little 10-minute flush. Open the windows on opposite sides of your home for about 10 minutes a day. This clears out the stale air, allergens, and indoor pollutants that can build up, especially in the winter. Research shows that indoor air can be 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air due to the buildup of carbon dioxide, volatile organic compounds from cleaning products, and microscopic dust mites. By opening your windows for just 10 minutes, you can reduce the concentration of CO2 by as much as 50 to 70%, effectively resetting your indoor atmosphere. This rapid air exchange prevents the buildup of moisture that leads to mold, which is a major trigger for indoor allergies and respiratory issues. And beyond just clearing out the dust, it can actually also impact your brain's performance. When CO2 levels rise in a closed room, which happens quickly if you're working or sleeping in a small space, it can lead to brain fog, headaches, and decreased decision-making speed. Bringing in fresh oxygen helps regulate your cortisol levels, the stress hormone, and can even improve your sleep quality by lowering the ambient temperature and humidity. It's a free and easy way to improve your immune system and brain function. Finally, the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked, did Victorian doctors really prescribe electric baths to recharge people's bodies? Believe it or not, that's a fact. Hydroelectric baths were a very real and popular medical treatment in the late 19th century. It was used to treat everything from writer's cramp to general exhaustion. Hospitals and electrotherapeutic clinics used specialized porcelain tubs equipped with carbon electrodes. These devices typically delivered a direct current of about 20 to 40 volts into the water, which was just enough to cause a tingling sensation or muscle contractions without, usually causing a major injury. Doctors of the era believed this galvanic current would jumpstart the nervous system. But it's incredibly important to remember these were shockingly bad ideas by modern safety standards. Please do not ever attempt to electrify your bath or any water source at home. Water and electricity are a deadly combination, and most modern household outlets carry 120 to 240 volts, far more than the, quote, therapeutic doses used in the 1800s, and that can lead to instant cardiac arrest. So obviously, stick to modern doctors' advice for any health concerns. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning about odd medical treatments from history with me today. Be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.